Noting the high levels, I mean, we've been speaking about inequality a lot, that plagues our country. What are the multiple risks that democracy defenders encounter when raising their voice, particularly in the global south? A lot of our democracy defenders are black women, and we can speak a lot to the multiple risks that you confront in our context when risking your job, basically.
Very few leaders or governments want to be seen as undemocratic. So what I want to do now is using the democratic processes, to undermine democracy, to attack democracy defenders. But it's not only using, but it's also increasingly using, I mean, we know the language of white monopoly capital. If you're a democracy defender, you are now being positioned, if you're black, as opposed to legitimate transformation. So you see, it's a much more sophisticated isolation. So if you're a democracy defender, you are being positioned as somebody who's opposed or who undermines the fight to reduce inequality. Now that becomes very difficult to defend the situation and so on. So what should we do as ordinary people? I think the first thing is we kind of have to get every person, every ordinary individual to become democracy defenders. And that will legitimize democracy defenders. We cannot allow people to be isolated.
And what has happened at the moment is, if you can't beat them, if you look at the news in the last few days, it's been an approach that says, if you can't beat them, join them. So that's part of the problem. The second weakness at the moment in our PDA is the protected disclosures has multiple centers where you can file your PDA. The Pub Protector is one place, the Human Rights Commission, and various others. There isn't one center. So it's who is a whistleblower, and then also what are you protected from? Ours is vaguer than other whistleblower protection acts in other countries about the notion of an occupational detriment. As I've spoken to you earlier, I spoke about the whistleblower who was fired for being rude and hierarchical. The actual wording was abrasive and hierarchical. In our PDA, even as public protector, we investigated every PDA that was given to us. But there is no provision that says you must investigate. So it's presumed that if it's brought to you by a whistleblower, you will investigate. There's nothing in the law that says you must investigate. Hence, a lot of people to whom people whistleblow, nothing happened.
So I think that's a good way to start our Q&A session.
My question is to Professor Gumede. You mentioned how democracy has struggled to deal with inequality, especially racial, social, and economic inequality. And because of that, many citizens, especially those who are or feel marginalized, have actually lost faith in the system. So I want to know, how do we now, as democracy defenders, encourage citizens to become more active?
First thing is, in a sense, is to, by public mobilization. I mean, if we can get it across, there is not democracy that has failed. But it is those who manipulate or abuse democracy, and abuse the institutions, corrupt the system, or capture the system, and that people's salvation lies in defending democracy and lies in using democracy. So the first thing we have to do is to say, this is your right. We try to get to mass education so people understand their rights, because that is the first thing that's missing. The people often, because this is the inequality in this country, inequality to information, inequality to access. If you're in an informal settlement, you don't have the equality of access to information and so on. So to get that across first, to understand the rights, and then to say, how do I then use the rights? And so on. So that's going to be, I think, a very, very crucial point.
I think you guys managed to actually give us courage as South Africans to be conscientized about the importance of democracy and taking a stand as ordinary citizens. And you mentioned that the journey to whistleblowing is obviously a long journey, I just want to know, what is your advice to young aspiring public servants who wish to serve their country with courage and integrity that you both have displayed during your 10 years as former finance minister and former public protector? Thank you.
Strengtheners of democracy, but there was an element of whistleblowing or of letting everyone know what is going on in the name of democracy. What made us survive was that the people believed in what we were doing, that we avoided, being dramatic, insulting people, and then just being seen as now untouchable. Maintain your demeanor, maintain your respect.
My name is Dale McKinley, long-time activist, right to the campaign. Two issues that I think are being completely left out of this debate, which is worrying. One is the recognition of we speak as though defending democracy has been something that's been going on since Zuma came to power.
I do remember that it started many years ago, and where civil society in South Africa eventually moved into the welfare space, because any criticism of government was seen as not supporting this new government. It was seen that good people support this government. Perhaps maybe people were too critical, perhaps they were not supportive enough. I don't know. But that was wrong, because then the only civil society in the next few years were those that were supporting HIV, like delivering services rather than supporting and strengthening democracy.
So much of what we've been talking about is not just reimagining democracy, but also reimagining the way in which we strengthen democracy and root democracy even further in terms of the kind of constitutional framework that we have. And we've been told several times, particularly by Professor Habib, that many of the crises we talk about, the democratic deficit, the weakening of institutions, the alienation between elites and citizens, problems that are faced by many countries in the world today. And in that sense, there's room, as our guest from France is saying, for a global debate on these issues, but more importantly, global action as well. The second major point I want to make, which several have made, at the end of the day, we can be activists, we can be leaders, we can be catalysts in different senses for the revitalization and deepening of democracy in South Africa. But I'm a firm believer, as many of you probably are, that it's the masses that make history. And it's the masses that can stop history from moving in the wrong direction, but also strengthen the right directions in what we do. And I think we all agree that we need to ensure that ultimately people and citizens are better informed, have the right kind of understanding of what is going on, both in South Africa and indeed in the rest of the world. And we've got to avoid the danger that Advocate Madonsela points out, and that is the danger of manufactured democracy. And I think it's an interesting concept, because much of democracy is in fact about manufacturing. That's why politicians are so good in their business. They manufacture narratives from time to time. So you go to one part of the country, the same politician would say one thing. In another part of the country, the same politician would say another thing. But that's basically because the trade that we are in is getting votes. So I think that's one of the weaknesses of democracy. That ultimately I hope the university will provide some space for us to discuss even further as well. So blow the whistle as loudly as is necessary in order to make sure that our institutions and leaders do the right things. But what we need finally is also an alliance between academics, researchers, the media, activists and citizens themselves, so that our people have better insights into what is going on, and so that we can create a country that does indeed enjoy social justice, an inclusive economy, and an inclusive society. Thank you very much.